One of the things that we're trying here in '04 is we're making Eddie Guerrero a much more featured player to the point we actually had. I don't think most wrestling fans listening to this are familiar with the DVD that Eddie had, Cheating Death, Stealing Life. What a lot of people may forget is that was actually a television special made for UPN that aired on May 26th here in 2004. The DVD would come out much later, but this was designed to be a television special. But as luck would have it, based on scheduling, it's heads up with the American Idol finals. So the documentary on Eddie gets a 1.05 rating. Meanwhile, American Idol gets a 17.74 rating. I thought this was fabulous. It was critically acclaimed. People said, hey, this is proof that WWE can do a great, riveting documentary. But boy, timing, heads up with the finals of American Idol.
Well,
Shame.
yeah, because it was counter programming to that, and it was
Yeah.
something UPN wanted to do because look, everybody thought that American Idol was going to get those kind of numbers, and they knew that. So, from UPN's point of view, they wanted to be able to put something on that was different, and hence, it was a show that was already done, and it was something that was put together, and it was a freebie. So put that out there and give them some counter programming. I dare say that if you were to compare that special to what they ordinarily would have run in that time slot, that it probably did a lot better than that.
Around this same time, we would see Mr. Landsberg of TSN, Michael Landsberg. He's had several pretty notable wrestling interviews in this era. He would sit down with Vince McMahon in the past and Hulk Hogan and Bret Hart, so many others, Eric Bischoff. But here in '04, he does another interview. It's a two-parter with Vince McMahon. And one of the things that's notable is it comes up about Stone Cold. And of course, he's on the outs with Austin at the time. And he's talking about the fact that Austin wasn't given a new contract or the contract wasn't signed because WWE is a publicly traded company and they can't be giving away their intellectual property, even if they personally like someone. And Landsberg would say, yeah, but you let Dwayne Johnson own the name The Rock. And Vince would clarify, no, that's not true. WWE has only given Dwayne Johnson a license to use the name Rock in Hollywood, but it's written by Wade Keller at the time. Ironically, the funny part about this is Austin would settle for the ability to use the name on outside projects, but WWE still owning the name. Let's talk about that for a minute. How big of a sticking point and point of contention was this that Austin wanted to use the name Stone Cold in Hollywood and Vince just wouldn't let him, but seemingly did allow The Rock? Is that the way you understood it, or is that off
Okay,
base?
well, but again, I think you said it yourself, and him clarifying it is there was a licensing fee paid, and WWE participated every time that Rock used the name The Rock. That's a licensing fee. So the company is paid for that. Steve just wanted to use Stone Cold and didn't want to use it as license, didn't want to have WWE involved in it. And I promise you that if they had come back with a licensing fee and said, we'd like to license it, and you're going to get paid every time that the Stone Cold moniker is used, that would have been a completely different deal. So it wasn't just, no, you can't do this. I'm sure they would have agreed to the same type of deal they did with Rock.
It's insinuated in the torch here that offer was not extended to Austin, that he wasn't even offered the opportunity to do a license deal. And you throw in
I
the
don't know.
flag.
The offer was extended to Rock, and I think they came back with, "Hey, what if?"
I got
So
you. I
you know what
got
I
you.
mean? It's like I'm sure that Wade Keller and Dave Meltzer were a part of those meetings and were very intricately involved in exactly what was and what was not offered and the intricacies of why and how. So
There's another comment here that I wanted to clarify because I think this could have been part of it. McMahon said he made Austin what he considered a fair offer, and Austin turned it down, but also noted that it's harder negotiating through lawyers, and specifically noted he didn't like Austin's current attorney, who he said knew nothing about wrestling and was making demands. McMahon did admit that Austin made him more money than any wrestler in history. Vince said the fans don't want the Austin who can't wrestle, claimed he had walked out twice and been forgiven twice, and said the wrestler Stone Cold Steve Austin is done. He can't do what he used to do, but he does have some value and maybe back at some time. Do you think this was a function of, just the lawyers getting involved and that was the end of that?
Well, I would think that that had a lot to do with it because I know that, look, man, it's hard to negotiate with somebody who has no real skin in the game. So, for a lawyer or an agent to negotiate on behalf of someone and then start telling you what they will and won't do, and you as a producer, you as a creator, or you start the relationship with handcuffs on. And, I've had agents say, well, I need to see the creative. And I'm like, okay, good for you. I don't share creative with agents or managers. I will share it with the talent and I will talk to the talent about it because the talent is the one that we are looking to deliver this creative. If the talent would like to share it with you and you would like to give your opinion, but I'm not going to listen to your opinion on the creative. I don't care. So that's me. Dealing with lawyers and dealing with agents in that regard, that's just a bad combination when you're dealing with when the person that is doing the negotiation is also involved in the creative end of things. Because again, they're not there. They're not going to be there. They're not going to be in the ring taking the bumps. They're not going to be the guys that are going to decide whether or not I'm going to do this physically or not. So, harsh as it may sound, I don't give a shit what a lawyer or an agent thinks. And that's why, I said it before, I'm the world's worst negotiator, but I would rather negotiate directly with the talent than negotiate with an agent or a lawyer. And look, they're there to do their job and do their purpose, but a lot of times deals go south more with an agent or a lawyer involved than they do when it's just with the talent.
Let's talk a little bit about the Hulk Hogan side of the story here, because while he's visiting with Landsberg, that comes up about the Hulk Hogan piece of business. And it's written here, McMahon at the time said he would never use him as a talent again, although we could see bringing him in for a non-talent role at some point. When asked about that and the circumstances of Hogan's latest departure, McMahon said he didn't remember what they were. He said he and Hogan had a good relationship and would consider bringing him back. Is it fair to say that over the years, that, for lack of a better phrase, maybe Hogan and McMahon have just had a on again, off again relationship?
Yes, I mean it's a love-hate relationship, and it's very on again, off again, depending upon whose point of view that you're looking at. So yeah, man, I think that they needed each other, they loved each other, and they hated each other. So it was a constant churn, and it was like clockwork. You could usually tell when, okay, this is getting ready to go off the rails because it was, the same situations, the same things would happen, and you knew it was coming. You just knew it was coming when it was coming.